夜のワインに咲いて満ちて生きる様子が傷も嘘も痛みも歌になる夢を愛を書いて何を救えますか海はそれを覚める光になれ
It was a busy bustling day on the Nelly's Island. The members and the freight trains were working very hard. I was busy to do some shunting freight train jobs in the yard, but my freight trains were old and rusty. It was very hard work. Then Clan Avatar arrived. Look, Sarabi and Controller gave me some smart new freight trains. They're much nicer than yours. It's not fair. I want to do freight trains too. The next morning, Sarabi and Controller had a surprise for me. Ganendra, your freight trains are getting too old for your heavy loads. You ought to have some new ones, just like Clan Avatar. I was delighted. I collected my new freight trains and drive proudly away. But when I arrived at the harbor, there was Clan Avatar. He was showing his new freight trains to the twins. I've got new freight trains too. They're much even nicer than Clan Avatar's. Your freight trains might be nice and new now, but you'll never keep your freight trains as clean as mine. Yes, I will. Clan Avatar watched me driving away. So the next day, I drive into the quarry. Clan Avatar's freight trains were already loaded. I've got my stone already and not a spot of quarry dust on my locomotive. I can do that too. So I drive back under the hopper. But just as the stone was released, the freight trains rolled a bit more. Bother! Ha! Your freight trains don't look so new now. I was angry. So I tried to the coaling plants. This time, I want my freight trains to stay clean. When I arrive, I drive back carefully and slowly under the coal hopper. But the freight trains was rolled too far again. My locomotive and my freight trains were dirtier than ever. Ah! Later, when I arrived at the watchtower, there was Clan Avatar. See, my locomotive got the cleanest freight trains. You'll be here for hours getting your freight trains clean. I was very angry. Ah! So the next day, when I drove into the yard, I had an idea. If I use my old freight trains to take the coal, my new freight trains will still look clean and new. So I drive back up to collect my old freight trains. I collected some coal from the coaling plant. Then I raced across the countryside. Ha! I can get these old freight trains really messy and get the coal to the harbor on time. And then there was a big trouble. The rusty coupling broke. The freight trains were rolling by itself. Oh my steamies! I applied the brakes, but I stopped too quickly. The freight trains bumped into the back of my locomotive and the coal spilled all over the tracks. Ah! Soon, Sarabi FM controller arrived on members' locomotive. Ganendra, these freight trains are too old for taking the coal. And now you are causing a lot of trouble. Sorry, sir. The member and the workmen soon cleared the tracks, but I still had to deliver the coal to the harbor. So I raced back to the shunting yard, and this time I collected my new smart shiny freight trains. Some workmen and the member loaded the coal onto my freight trains. They were all ready to go and I set off. I raced to the harbor. Suddenly, the freight trains were being troublesome. My freight trains rolled easily up the hills. They rattled quickly downhill. And then finally, I arrived into the harbor. We need to unload quickly, but don't worry, we'll try to keep your new freight trains clean. That's okay. My freight trains will be rather to be useful than clean. Just then, Clan Avatar drive into the harbor. Look at your freight trains, filthy again, not like mine. Clan Avatar tried to move the locomotive, but the freight trains didn't want to be clean anymore. Just then, Mr. Briggs' crane's cable snapped. He dropped a large crate of melons. Bother! Clan, I think the freight trains like to be useful rather than clean, and all agreed.